Before we get today's show started, be sure to hit that big red button and follow the Alabama Football Report, your one-stop shop for everything Crimson Tide football all season long. Kickoff is just around the corner on Saturday against the number 14 Miami Hurricanes, and we will have all of your information pertaining to the Crimson Tide all season long. Welcome into the Alabama Football Report. I am your host, RC Maxfield, and on today's show, we will have 5 bold predictions for Alabama football this season. And, I'm going to tell you right now, at least one of them is scorching hot, but I want to hear your score predictions first for Alabama and Miami this weekend down in Atlanta where, hey, you get to kick off the season and finally have college football back with a little bit of normalcy as fans will be in the stands. So let me know, predict the score down in the comments below, and be sure to give that video a like. But let's get to the first bold prediction of the season that I have for the Crimson Tide, and it involves a transfer from Ohio State in Jalen Williams, who I think will lead the Alabama Crimson Tide in receiving this season. And now I know that Mechie's there and he's the veteran guy in terms of the wide receiver core, but I absolutely love what Williams brings to the table from a skill perspective. And now these numbers are not going to pop out at you when it comes to his 2020 stats at Ohio State. He wasn't on the field that much, but he did have 9 catches for 154 yards and 2 touchdowns and had a long reception of 45 yards. But I really do just love his athleticism and what he can do on the field. He can go at all 3 levels, whether that's just a screen pass, maybe a slant route, and he can also take the top off the defense as well. He kind of reminds me, and please don't shoot me down in the comments for this, but he reminds me of Amari Cooper in some kind of degree. So these are the type of numbers I think that Williams can put up in his first season at Alabama. These are the first numbers that Amari Cooper put up as a true freshman in Tuscaloosa. Now, again, 1,000 yards for Williams might be a little bit of a stretch, but I also think it's very possible with an offense that will be looked to pass a little bit more after the success they had last season with Mac Jones and now shifting over to Bryce Young. But you tell me, will Williams lead Alabama in receiving? Type Y for yes, type N for no. You know my answer. I am going with a Y for yes because I love Mechie and what he has on the opposite side of Williams, but I just love Williams' athleticism and really everything he can bring to the table. Next up on the bold predictions, we're going to talk about a little bit of the running game as I've got this guy, and man, I know that Robinson has been the talk of camp, but Jase is the guy that I think is going to lead this team in rushing. I truly believe that he will be the guy probably midway through the season here. And the reason I say that is when you look at what he can do offensively in terms of just breaking the tackle and going the distance, I think much like Williams, I think Jase can really just go out there and break a long run anytime. Now, the Alito, Texas native did get a little bit of run as a freshman in 2020, had 23 carries and 254 yards with 2 touchdowns, and he's not listed as the number 1 running back currently on the Alabama depth chart that they released on Monday. That's obviously senior Robinson on there, but I like what they have in the backfield. I just think that McClellan is that guy that can take the top off the defense in the backfield and be the guy that really allows Alabama to take the offense to the next step, right? You look at these running backs that they do have. Robinson, you know what you kind of have there in terms of his productivity now that he's been on campus so long. Same with Roydell Williams as well. I like what Sanders brings. And then McClellan is kind of that do-everything back that I wouldn't be surprised that he turns into the next Alabama quote-unquote great running back because of the skill set that he does have. Now, he can go out in the backfield, catch the ball. So can Robinson as well, but I think McClellan is one of those guys that being younger and a little bit more physical and a little bit more agile than Robinson will get him on the field sooner rather than later and take that lead running back role. Again, it might not be until maybe midway through SEC play, but I do think that he will be the lead guy for at least half of the season, if not the majority of the season for Alabama. But you tell me, who will be the leading rusher for the Crimson Tide this season? You see the options. You know who I'm going with. I'm going with Jase McClellan right there up for JM, excuse me. I think that he will lead the way for the Crimson Tide backfield in 2021. Kickoff is right around the corner for the Crimson Tide, and BetUS is your one-stop shop to bet on the Crimson Tide. All you got to do is go to chatsports.com/TideBet and use the promo code TIDE125, and they will give you the best deposit bonus on the internet right now. And again, you don't even need to go look for it. This is by far the best one out there. Let's say you put $100 down. You get $125 cash to play with on the site. $225 total in this situation. I did that last year. I'm using the same amount of cash from last year to play with this year, and here are some of my favorite odds to bet on so far for Alabama. They are 18.5-point favorites against Miami in Game 1, and they're national championship favorites, as they should be virtually every year, right? And that last one, Bryce Young, Heisman, he's second in the odds, and let's have a little bit of fun, right? And maybe we'll be seeing him a little bit later on in the video as well with one of these bold predictions. But again, go to chatsports.com/TideBet and use the promo code TIDE125 to get a 125% deposit bonus when you use BetUS. Third bold prediction I've got is Christopher Allen winning the Butkus Award. And again, there's been a long line of Alabama linebackers. Producer Jeremy was talking to me about a guy he covered on the high school ranks from Duncanville, Blackshire. Listen, he's not even on the depth chart very high right now, and I think that that's just because, well, Alabama's got a ton of linebackers in terms of just history and as well on the current roster. Some need to prove more than others, but Allen is not the case. Here's the long line of success that Alabama has at the linebacker position when it comes to the Butkus Award. Everybody remembers these guys. Derek Thomas in 1988. You got Rolando McClain as well in 09. C.J. Mosley now with the New York Jets in 2013, and then, of course, Reuben Foster in 2016. When you think about Christopher Allen, you think about one of the best linebackers not only in the country or in the SEC, but in the entire country. Right? He's one of those guys that can do the sideline to sideline, go downhill, hit the running back in the backfield as well as the passer. He is one of the best linebackers and do-it-all linebackers in the country, and he led the SEC last year in tackles for loss. I think he does it again this season. I truly believe that this is the best linebacker in the SEC when it comes to the whole package, right? There's not a lot of linebackers like him, and I know that in a previous video we had Mosley and Henry competing for a linebacker spot. Well, that was opposite of Christopher Allen because he was the obvious pick to start at the linebacker spot for the Crimson Tide. But hey, let me know, do you disagree with me on who will lead Alabama in tackles for loss this season? I think, again, it's going to be Christopher Allen. I think he's one of the best linebackers in the country. And again, he's going to lead the SEC and Alabama, of course, in tackles for loss in 2021. The number 4 bold prediction I have is, well, I think Alabama fans, they get used to winning, and, geez, I love it. I really do. I love all the winning, but undefeated regular season in 2021 might be a little bit more difficult than people expect. Let's run through the last 5 seasons for Alabama, as in 2016 they lost in the title game, as we all remember, and went 14-1, won the national championship in 2017 and went 13-1. Not a lot of losses on that resume, as going into 2021 they haven't lost a game since the 2019 season after going perfect in 2020, but this year is going to be more difficult than ever. Right, you look at the landscape of the SEC, you have 2 teams in the top 10 alongside of Alabama in LSU, or not LSU, excuse me, Georgia is up there, and then you have others as well that are really, really high up there. LSU, not sure how I feel about them. They might be a fraud team up there, but you have Texas A&M in the top 10 as well, and you have to go down to Aggie land and face off against the Aggies early in the year in SEC play. I just don't know if this is going to be the easiest route to going perfect, but I do see Alabama doing it with young players stepping up early and often for Nick Saban's crew. You better believe it. If you think Alabama will go undefeated this season, type RT for Roll Tide down in the comment sections. I better be seeing a lot of RTs because this is going to be one of the best young teams that Nick Saban has had in a long time. Lot to prove, but I do think that they go undefeated in 2021. And what the hell, it wouldn't be a bold prediction show if you didn't say what your Heisman pick is, right? I got Bryce Young winning the Heisman Trophy in his first full season as starter in Tuscaloosa for Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide. Again, you're looking at the number 2 overall recruit in the 2020 class, according to 24/7. Clear-cut quarterback one, and he was named that earlier today on Monday by Nick Saban. And, well, when you look at what needs to happen for Bryce to go out there and win the Heisman Trophy, he's got to come out on Saturday against a Heisman dark horse, quite frankly, in De'Aaron King for Miami, and just dominate. And I think he will. I truly believe Bryce Young will be looked at as one of the best quarterbacks in college football all season long, mostly because of the traits that he has. He's durable in terms of he knows how to keep himself safe. He's not going to take that extra hit. He knows how to throw the deep ball with touch. He knows how to throw in the intermediate routes. And most importantly, his football IQ is at a different level for a guy his age. You've talked about in terms of Nick Saban coming out and saying maybe they didn't get enough reps that they wanted to as him as a freshman. Well, that's because Mac Jones just absolutely balled out and was a Heisman finalist last year. I think Bryce Young is going to be one of those guys where he's a clear-cut Heisman finalist, but most importantly, I think he's going to win it, mostly because I think there's a lot of talent on this Alabama offense that they have to prove themselves, Bryce Young included, and I think that they have a chip on their shoulder this year that a lot of Alabama teams haven't had in the past when it comes to wanting to prove themselves, live up to those expectations. This isn't your normal number one Alabama team where a lot of the guys are returning in the sense that, okay, we have a lot of talent there. They're back from their sophomore to junior campaign. I think Bryce Young is a perfect example of taking that next step and proving that he is worthy of the Heisman consideration, because I think he's going to have a season much like Jalen Hurts did at Alabama his senior year and before everybody at Oklahoma, his senior year. And don't come at me in the comments. I get it. Jalen Hurts had a baller season at Oklahoma and is one of the greatest quarterbacks in terms of modern day at Alabama, and we know the whole Tua situation. But I think these are realistic numbers that Bryce Young could put up in terms of just a similar outcome in terms of production for the first-year starter for the Crimson Tide. You see that 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Obviously, Jalen Hurts ran for over 1,000 yards. I don't know if Bryce Young will do that, but I do think he'll get in that 800 range, maybe 900 range rushing, and add a couple touchdowns on the ground as well, because that similar season to Jalen Hurts will put him in the Heisman conversation, and I think if Alabama does go perfect, he does end up being the Heisman Trophy winner for 2021. But get in the comments, will Young win the Heisman in 2021? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. You know where I stand. I am spamming the 1 down in the comments below.